Let's see the steps to fill up the salary schedule for the new tax regime in ITR-4. However, before we begin, viewers, please note that a person having salary income will not be able to file ITR-4 in case it does not have a business income. This means in addition to having a salary income, you should also have a business income in order to file ITR-4. In case you don't have a business income, then you should file either ITR-1 or ITR-2. An ITR-2 can be filed by a salaried taxpayer only if it has an additional capital gains income. That is, in addition to the salary income, it should also have a capital gains income. In case if it does not have a capital gains income, then it should file ITR-1 only and it cannot opt for ITR-2. However, in this case, we are having a business income as well and hence we are filing ITR-4. Now let's see what are the details required to fill up the salary schedule for the new tax regime in ITR-4. The first thing is the gross salary that has been received during the financial year 2024-25 and the amount is 7 lakhs. The second one is the rent paid during the financial year 2025. The third one is house rent allowance received during the financial year 2024-25. And the fourth one is profession tax deducted from the salary during the financial year 24-25. However, the taxpayer has selected new tax regime. Thus, you should note, since the taxpayer has selected the new tax regime, in such cases, the information which relates to rent payment, house rent allowance and the professional tax deducted will be of no use to us, as because these deductions are not available in the new tax regime. Thus, the only thing that we need while filing salary schedule for the new tax regime in ITR-4 would be the gross salary. Other details such as rent and HRA allowance and P-tax deducted will be of no use for us. Now let's move to the ITR utility in which we'll be filling up this form. Viewers, please note, I'll be using the income tax return offline utility to file the return. However, you can also use the online utility. That is, you can fill the details online as well instead of using the offline utility. But since it is more convenient for me to use an offline utility, I would be using that. And I have already downloaded it on my laptop. In case you don't know how to do it, we have a separate video for that. Do remember to have a look at that as well. The link to that video is mentioned in the comment section. So let me move to the income tax return filing offline utility, which is on my desktop already. Here it is. I will click. Click on file return and choose either of the three options to pre-fill data. Once you pre-fill the data, you arrive at this page. And the first thing to do is to fill up part A of the general schedule, which contains the personal information of the taxpayer, such as name, address, contact details, and the bank account details. The other important thing that it contains is the option to choose the old tax regime or the new tax regime. We click on this. And under the filing section, we see a question right at the bottom. Have you exercised this option of opting out of the new tax regime in the last year? Since we had paid it as per the new tax regime, we'll select no. And here again, in this year, do you want to opt out of the new tax regime for the current year? Since I want to opt for the new tax regime, thus I will be clicking on no. In case you want to opt for the old tax regime, you would click on yes. After this, we click on confirm. The next important thing is to fill up the gross total income. We click on gross total income and under the head income from salaries, we'll click on edit. So what is the gross salary that was mentioned? It was 7 lakhs. Value of perquisites or profits in lieu of salary. All these details will be available in case you have Form 16 available with you. In case you have Form 16 available, you would find these items in that form itself. You just need to input the figures right here. You won't be able to see exemption under section 10 subsection 13a, that is the house rent allowance, and that's why those details weren't relevant to us and hence were ignored. Now this is the standard deduction that it auto populated, and this is the total income chargeable to salaries. We click on save and then we click on confirm. So here it is. So this is how we fill the salary schedule and the new tax regime.